Hi, my name is David Taylor from the Audience Needs Division. I am so delighted to introduce you today to Ellen Celeste Woodward Fuller. She's an example of a true pioneer woman, one whose story struggles to come to light. We'll begin with one of her earliest pioneering experiences. On June 14, 1855, 30 men arrived at a remote location on the old Spanish Trail known as Las Vegas Springs. Their mission was to establish an outpost for travelers and to preach to the Paiute Indians in the area. Aside from the few acres of grass around the springs, it was a barren, desolate landscape. 1 year and 1 day after the original missionaries arrived, others arrived, including Elijah Knapp Fuller. His plural wife, 25-year-old Ellen Fuller, and the 5 children in her care are noted simply as "and part of family." This is the first recorded arrival of women and children to the remote outpost. 2 months later, the official record of the Las Vegas mission recorded a remarkable event. Brother E.K. Fuller's wife was delivered of a daughter, the first occurrence of the kind that ever happened in Fort Las Vegas. Contention and other forces were at work that would ultimately disband the mission in 1857. I visited the historic Mormon fort in 2018. Ellen's daughter Zilpha is remembered as the first Anglo baby to be born in Las Vegas. The restored adobe building is not large, and this room is a prominent part, but unfortunately there was no signage to tell the story. This image of Ellen once hung there with its brief description, but no longer. Now the visitor takes a quick glance inside and moves on. Those who linger may wonder who this woman was and strain to hear echoes of her story. So even in overt attempts to include women in our cultural memory, we fall short. This remarkable woman was the youngest daughter of David and Diadema Woodward, the younger sister of Emmeline B. Wells. She was raised in a well-established New England hamlet where her family was well respected. At age 12, she joined the church with her mother and 2 of her sisters, and later emigrated to Nauvoo. 3 years after her arrival in Salt Lake City, she became a plural wife to Elijah Knapp Fuller. They lived in Salt Lake and briefly in Lehigh before moving to Las Vegas. Then in 1861, they went to southern Utah. In the final chapter of her life, she pioneered again in Pine, Arizona, this time without her husband. In the October 1861 conference, Brigham Young announced the call of 300 families to go to the Cotton Mission. Only men are shown in the list written by James G. Blake in the Annals of the Southern Utah Mission, but included in the list are Elijah and his 3 grown sons. Soon thereafter, the Fullers established themselves about 15 miles from St. George in the outlying settlement of Harrisburg. The community was never more than about 100 people. Elijah was occupied as a rancher and a freighter. He taught Sunday school, and Ellen was active in the Relief Society. Searching collections of other Harrisburg residents, I found this undated note in the collection that lists Ellen C. Fuller as the president of the Relief Society. I love the resolutions from the first meeting. Apparently, the officers felt strongly about being punctual and about controlling their tongues, and of course, to work diligently. Submissions to the woman's exponent validate her activity in the Relief Society presidency. I was also interested to learn that they established a cooperative store in 1876. This experience would prove valuable to her later in her life when she opened a general store in Pine, Arizona. I have dozens of research questions. I'm currently focused on determining the circumstances of her move from Harrisburg to Arizona. Did polygamy play a role in her decision to leave? Was she going underground? Or was she discontent with family life, as some descendants have asserted? Elijah was married 6 times. 2 of the marriages ended in death and 2 in divorce. As you know, each woman's experience with plural marriage was different. In Ellen's case, she was a plural wife for about 5 years, then she lived in monogamy for a time, and then she was head wife for quite a while. How did she feel about plural marriage? I am so grateful to Jenny Reeder, who recently connected me with Cherry Silver. Cherry shared notes about Ellen Fuller in Emmeline's diaries. These have offered insightful glimpses into her life and their relationship. I'm holding out hope that we can find extant diaries belonging to Ellen or correspondence between the sisters. Ellen had an extended visit with Emmeline early in 1883. It was the first they had seen each other in over 20 years. Yet her sister wife Alice indicates that she and Elijah had moved to Cedar City in September of 1882. What was going on in the Fuller household at this time? This entry in Emmeline's diary is both enlightening and elusive. What property did Ellen have to dispose of? Why was she in some perplexity and uncertainty? And what did Ellen mean she was resolved to take her own course? I hope to unravel these mysteries. Ellen is my fourth great-grandmother. This is a cherished photograph taken in 1912. My great-grandmother is the sassy girl with her hand on her hip. I only knew her after a stroke had rendered her unable to speak. The scarcity of sources renders it equally difficult to hear the voice of her great-grandmother. I've learned to be creative in looking for primary sources. Censuses and other records help me place her in a particular location and time and help me know who her neighbors were. Local unit records and minute books have proved useful, as have newspapers. And of course, I look in records written by men from the communities she lived in. Ellen calls to me, but her voice is drowned out by the men's voices that have been etched into history. I have many questions, and they urge me onward. But one thing is certain. We must discover their stories and share them with others. Thank you.